What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I'm very glad to see you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. We're pushing hard for 1.5 million subscribers. I can't even believe I'm saying that. If you're new here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do click that red subscribe button down below. If you're watching on Odyssey, Rumble, or BitChute, please subscribe there too. I appreciate your support across all platforms. Today, the Capitol Hill hearings are happening with the folks behind the Twitter files, particularly Yoel Roth and Vijaya Gadde, which I've already covered. So if you missed those videos, just check back on the channel and watch those. And now we get to former FBI lawyer Jim Baker. This is perhaps the most interesting individual that is getting grilled at the Capitol today because, well, he was ex-FBI working with, and when you have obviously the issue of Twitter working with the FBI, then you had the whole hullabaloo where he survived the initial cut at Twitter and ended up running, allegedly, some level of interference with the Twitter files, only to be found out, by the Twitter files journalists and subsequently immediately fired from Twitter. So to bring you up to speed, we have obviously the thread by Michael Schellenberger, in particular about Jim Baker, because this is perhaps kind of like the most evil guy in all of this. By the way, if you're enjoying the videos, I appreciate that. Just reminding everyone today, we enabled a big discount now on the site for all, not just military, but active military, former military, first responders, that's fire, police, healthcare workers, government employees, and teachers K through 12 all get 15% off in checkout. So when you put some items in your checkout, you add it, let's say, add to cart, and then you see here this GovX thing, military, first responder, government employee, teacher, discount available. Just click that, handle your business, boom, save some money. Love you, appreciate your service, and I hope you like that. So, the congressional hearings. Former FBI lawyer Jim Baker, who served as Twitter's deputy counsel, is now testifying in front of the House Oversight Committee. This is the big deal because it's all about the laptop, the president's son's computer, and that's why you got to share this video because YouTube's going to put this down. Baker claims he urged caution around the laptop when in reality, he led the charge within Twitter to reverse the findings by Twitter head of trust and safety Yoel Roth. The New York Post story had not violated Twitter's policies. So this condensed timeline is essentially the head of trust and safety says, nope, this isn't hacked. This is good. Let the story run. And then other people like Vijaya Gadde, Jim Baker, and others work behind the scenes to reverse that decision and ultimately censor the story and anyone sharing it. Vijaya Gadde, the former general counsel for Twitter, claims that its censorship of the New York Post article was done in line with its policy against, quote, hacked materials, but she does not mention that Roth and his team initially found that it was, quote, not from hacking. So you have Jim Baker in here, all sorts of suspect given where he used to work, who he used to work for. You have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez having an absolute meltdown. We're talking about the laptop story. This is an embarrassment. This is from a woman who was wanting to legislate around the toots of cows. So she should not be taken seriously, but here's a clip.
So they've dragged a social media platform here in Congress. They're weaponizing the use of this committee so that they can do it again.
Yeah, I hope they constantly do it. I hope they do it every single solitary time that they infringe on my rights, which is what it appears that Twitter did for sure, according to the Twitter files. And almost certainly YouTube does it. Almost certainly Facebook, Instagram, they do it. TikTok does it in another way. So she's having a complete meltdown about it.
A whole hearing about a 24-hour hiccup in a right-wing political operation.
A right-wing political operation? Nah, I'm pretty sure people wanted to know if, the president's son was compromised.
That is why we are here right now. And it is It's just an abuse of public resources, an
What?
abuse of public time.
They're representing their constituents here well, I would argue. I want this to happen. And not only do I want this to happen, I want these people to have to live at the Hill. I want these people answering questions for months. I want these people to face lawsuits. And I know that I'm not the only one that feels that way. In fact, leave a like on the video right now if you agree. Subscribe if you agree, right? So this gaslighting by AOC to pretend that like, well, nobody's actually interested in this. You know why? It's because these people have done your bidding for years, okay? In my opinion, and anecdotal evidence certainly suggests that Twitter, Facebook, and others have gone out of their way to make sure to protect Joe Biden and Democrats many times over the years. Now, here's where Jim Baker seemingly lies directly under oath. Jim Baker, I'm going to show you.
I did not act unlawfully or otherwise inappropriately in any manner with respect to Hunter Biden's laptop.
Lies under oath. And here's Jim Jordan grills former FBI official and former Twitter deputy counsel Jim Baker on whether or not he discussed the story with the FBI.
To the gentleman from
I think the chair for yielding. Mr. Baker, you said you didn't talk with the FBI that day. Did you talk to the FBI about the Hunter Biden laptop story prior to then or after that day?
Geez, I don't remember.
I'm trying to make sure I can answer this question consistent with the restrictions that I talked about in my opening
Simple
statement.
question. Did you talk to the FBI about the Hunter Biden story?
I do, to the best of my recollection, I did not talk to the FBI about the Hunter Biden story before that day.
Did you talk to him after it? You said your
don't
response
recall.
is real. Your response is real specific to the chairman. You said, I did not talk to the FBI about the Hunter Biden laptop story that day. I assume that day is October 14th. I want to know if you talked to him on the 13th or before, or if you talked to him on the 15th and after.
I don't recall speaking to the FBI.
I don't recall. I want it's like, don't forget that FBI asset Jim Baker wanted to suspend Donald Trump from Twitter for sharing this tweet. Just imagine what he was doing behind the scenes at the FBI. This is, I will be leaving the Great Walter Reed Medical Center. Don't be afraid of the coof. Don't let it dominate your life. Great advice, by the way, for anybody out there. I mean, I don't, the idea that he can say, I don't recall, and worm out of, you see, here's this one, Jim Baker just lied under oath.
I'm trying to make sure I can answer this question consistent with the restrictions that I talked about in my opening
Simple
statement.
question. Did you talk to the FBI about the Hunter Biden story?
I do, to the best of my recollection, I did not talk to the FBI about the Hunter Biden story before that day.
Did you talk to him after?
I don't recall speaking to the FBI, sitting here today, I don't recall speaking to the FBI at all about the Hunter Biden matter.
Well, then why'd you answer it the way you did?
I beg your pardon?
I yield back there.
Yeah. Why did you say, I don't know if I did before. I don't know if I did after. It's very suspicious. The whole thing stinks to high heaven. The whole thing, where you have Jim Baker running interference, seemingly running cover for the president's, lunatic garbage son. And again, I don't care if your son's like an addict or whatever. That guy's a grown man. What I care about is how does this guy end up on like some energy council in a country where I'm currently sending billions of tax dollars to? Right? I mean, could it be any more obvious? Of all the places in the world this clown could work, right? Nobody says anything about, I mean, people say about anything, but they call you all sorts of, things, wild claims. I mean, you have literally, we know based on the Twitter files about Jim Baker. If we go back to the actual Twitter file, I think, which was file 7, Jim Baker was deeply involved in censoring the story. Like, deeply involved. Including back and forth, back and forth with the FBI's Elvis Chan, Yoel Roth, all these people deeply, deeply involved. Like, Jim Baker is, to me, pretty suspect in all of this. They clearly worked together to find any reason to censor the story. The fact that you're out here pretending that none of that is happening, you know, that none of that could have happened is absurd. Elvis Chan working with the FBI, directly infringing on Americans' First Amendment rights, is a crime. You know, the idea that AOC is having a melty about this, of course she does, because this is her people getting exposed, right? Absolute disgusting behavior from Jim Baker, AOC, who's, you know, really just an e-thought. You know, she's an e-girl who's mostly interested in the fame. She doesn't actually want to litigate. That's why she spends time going on people's live streams and things of that nature. He knew that it was a laptop. The FBI knew it was the laptop. AOC throws an absolute fit.
We could be talking about healthcare. We could be talking about bringing down the cost of prescription drugs. We could be talking about abortion rights, civil rights, voting rights. But instead, we're talking about Hunter Biden's.
About our First Amendment. We're talking about the American people's First Amendment and it being infringed. Okay, we're talking about freedom of press, right? We're talking about pretty core issues to this country. We're talking about FBI infiltrating private companies and using those private companies to infringe on our rights as citizens. All kind of big things, but I don't expect AOC to understand that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it and you share it, because you know dang well they're going to be suppressing this given the topic. So I really, really appreciate your support. Appreciate you sticking with me through thick and thin, and we'll talk to you again real soon.